most people are trying to get in that workout before they go to work. And then anytime after that, it's just like me and the local firemen.
Ooh.
Basically.
Are they on the stair steppers? If they are, give them my number.
Not. They're on the row machines and
that's kind of gay too.
And the free weights, of course.
I was going to say, Pam, you're kind of burying the lead there, girl.
Welcome to Millennial, the home of pretend adulting and real talk. No April Fools here. I'm Andrew.
I'm Laura.
And I'm Pamela.
We are recording on April Fool's Day. I always think going into April Fool's Day, I got this. I'm not going to be pranked. Nobody can fool me at this point. I've been around the internet long enough. I always get pranked. I'm scrolling through Instagram. I'm seeing stuff. I'm like, oh my God. And then 5 seconds later, I realize that it's April Fool's. Have you two been pranked today?
No, honestly, I'm having kind of like a busy week outside of the pods and outside of work and stuff. So I feel really disconnected from the rest of the world right now, which, I mean, that's a good and a bad thing, I suppose.
How about you, Pam? Pranked by anything?
No, but there's still time. I'm also really gullible. Like, famously, I have mentioned before that there have been like years in the past where like Hype publishes fake news or had published fake news, and I get tricked by the headlines that I knew were going up.
And those were our best.
That happens.
And those were our best traffic days because we published lies that people wanted to hear. So they shared them with their friends, not remembering that it's April Fool's
That's
Day.
how y'all would get me, because it's like, yeah, that's something I desperately wanted. And oh, wait, now my heart is broken.
Yeah. So there is a gay bar that is opening here in Vegas this weekend. And I see on Instagram this morning, they quote unquote announce that Chapel Roan is going to be at their opening party on April 4th. And I bought it. I was like, okay, they want to have a big star there for the reopening of this bar that unexpectedly closed last year due to some legal issues. It made sense to me. So I shared it with Pat and 2 other friends. And 10 minutes after I sent it, I was like, wait, no, this must be an April Fool's joke. There's just no way she would be at this gay bar event. But I freaking fell for it, and I felt like such a tool.
Oh, you got so excited. You were like, we're going to go see Chapel.
I know.
It's going to be great.
I was like, that's pretty cool, actually. I'm impressed. And the event was April 4th, so it wasn't on April 1st. But Laura, you mentioned you're having a busy week, so we're not going to focus too much on the first 100 days today, right? But there was some pretty cool news today.
Yeah, Cory Booker coming out with not an official filibuster, because for it to be an official filibuster, there would actually have to be legislation being voted on. There wasn't, but definitely very much heavily symbolic. He spoke on the Senate floor for 20 plus hours, effectively mirroring a filibuster and really, again, trying to emphasize what a lot of these Republican-led bills are looking to accomplish, as well as emphasizing the voices of his constituents, both Democratic and Republican, to talk about what this would mean for them personally, what it means to lose access to Medicaid, what it means for funding to Medicare and Social Security to be cut, which, by the way, again, reminder, boys and girls, Social Security is not an entitlement. We all pay for it. And they're looking for ways to basically take the money that you pay in taxes right now, and instead of using that money to pay for social services that we all depend on at some point in our lives, they want to funnel it to Elon Musk and all of their rich friends in the form of tax cuts. Again, they want to take your money and give it to their rich friends. I was really appreciative of seeing Cory Booker do this, even though, again, it's not a real filibuster. I think it is the kind of rhetoric that people have been begging to see from Democrats in a more official capacity. And we've been getting it more from House Democrats than we have from Senate Democrats. So it was definitely good to see it. You mentioned 20 hours. He has actually now gone on for 25 hours, which makes it the longest Senate speech on record. He surpassed
the record set by Senator Strom Thurmond back in 1957, which was 24 hours, 18 minutes. Now he has easily passed that. And just so we're clear here, Cory Booker has to stand behind the podium for 25 hours. He cannot leave. He can throw it to somebody on the floor. He can yield the floor to somebody for a few minutes so he can take a swig of water and rub his feet, but he can't leave, right? He can't go pee. I don't think he can eat. Like,
no.
Can you imagine podcasting, standing up for 25 hours, occasionally yielding the floor to Micah?
He's done it before, too. So he's not a stranger to it, but it is really impressive. It's commendable whenever anyone tries.
And I'm very, very impressed that he's actually speaking to the issues and not just eating up his time reading Dr. Seuss books.
Like the Ted testimonials, I think, were really smart.
And who was that Republican who read from like the gay sex book or something about sucking dick?
Oh, Kennedy, Senator from Louisiana. Yeah, he's my favorite. I love, so you know what? There was some, I don't even think it was a campaign commercial. It was definitely like rhetoric, really to inspire to gin up the base. But there's this one ad that Senator Kennedy of Louisiana did a few years ago where he was just like, if you want to defund the police, next time you're getting robbed, call a crackhead.
Oh my God. And critically for Booker, I think the reason he's doing this is because it gets attention. This is making headlines now. Now that he's broken the record, it's on the front page of the New York Times. It's getting coverage on the 24-hour news networks. If he only spoke for an hour or whatever, never would have gotten attention. He's doing it to eat up some of the oxygen that Trump is constantly eating up. So from that perspective alone, it's great and welcomed. And we need to see more of this from Democrats.
I think the timing is also good too, because there are some special elections today that I know had the GOP nervous. I think I saw that one of them just got called. Unfortunately, the Republican won Matt Gaetz's old district, but that was to be expected. But I feel like the timing definitely had something to do with trying to cut through the Trump machine that continues getting free press all day, every day through this particular special election that's happening, which I think it's hilarious that any election happens on April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
I don't know. That to me, that feels like something that Trump would want to like either sign an executive order prohibiting, or he would want to appeal it up to the Supreme Court just because he wouldn't think it was a good look.
That's like announcing that Chaperone is coming to your gay bar the following Friday. Who's going to believe that when you make that announcement on April Fool's Day? Speaking of the crazy world of politics, we're going to talk about being severed, inspired by Severance. And also we're going to talk about the 2025 World Happiness Report and what it tells us about the state of the world and the country. But first, we're going to go change Cory Booker's diaper, and we will be right back. He can't use the bathroom either. What's he doing?
No,
He's got a catheter?
I think usually when they do those, they have to wear diapers.
That's crazy.
Nope.
Last week, at the end of the show, Laura plugged the Apple TV Plus series Severance. And a recent study actually found that 46% of Gen Zers would choose to be severed if they could. This is according to research conducted by workplace mental health platform Unmind. And the study also found that 2 in 5 employees struggle to switch off from work when they're not there. So first of all, Laura, what does it mean to be severed?
So being severed is a medical procedure in which you're severed. Yes, it's a fictional medical procedure from the show Severance in which your consciousness is literally severed so that when you're working, your innie, as it is known, is a separate consciousness entirely from your outie, who is the you outside of work. So both entities exist in the same body, but every day when the main character, Mark, goes to work, he gets in the elevator, he goes down to the office, and he switches over to his any mark consciousness. And his outie mark consciousness has no concept of what's happening at work, and vice versa, at least at first.
So 46% of Gen Zers would choose to have that life be severed if they could, which I don't know. Does that sound like a good idea to you too? I don't like this idea that I don't know what's going on in the inside or outside world.
No, I think, and I have to wonder when Gen Zers say this, is it purely out of a motivation to not have to experience work? Like,
I guess that part would be nice.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you didn't have to think about all of, your workplace drama and politics, if you didn't have to ruminate on your work after you clock out for the day, like those things would be very nice. But the downside is exactly what you said, Andrew. You have no idea what you were doing for 8 to 10 hours a day. And as we see in Severance, Innies have lives too, and they develop relationships with each other, sometimes romantic, and that could be complicated if you have a romantic partner on the outside. So I think there are lots of reasons why this really wouldn't be the move, but I think it speaks to something larger, and that is kind of feeding into the World Happiness Score conversation, or rather discussion that we're having today, because what this tells me is that a significant chunk of this generation is so miserable at work that they wish they didn't have to consciously experience it.
Yeah.
And that's
rough.
But
I will say too that I think that like Gen Z has more so than other generations before them put an emphasis on the idea that a job is just a job and you should be able to check out after, like you shouldn't be doing more. And I think that like, I don't know, it might be different from millennials because we were really spoon fed this idea that we should like go after like our passions, right? Mm-hmm. So like if you're like, like I like my job, like sure, some days like a job is still a job and there's like some frustrating parts, but like I still enjoy what I do.
Yeah.
So to me, like, I wouldn't like feel the need. But if you worked like retail, like if I was still working retail, like maybe it'd be like, yeah, sever me, daddy.
Sever me, daddy. Oh, that's the episode title right there.
I was going to say.
Well, I mentioned that the study found that 2 in 5 employees struggle to switch off from work when they're not there. So I think that's a large reason why people do wish to sever, because
that's me.
It's me. Hi.
That's me. I have a really hard time turning it off sometimes. And Mark, bless him, will be like, that's great. That sounds like a tomorrow you problem.
It sounds
Why
like an
are we
Innie
talking
problem.
about this right now? Yeah,
The
that's
Innie's
an
problem.
Innie Laura problem.
Where's Audi Laura? I miss her. Also, I gotta say, I don't love the Innie Audi. I just think of an Innie Audi belly button.
Like belly button, me
yeah,
too.
It creeps me out. But so this has to be tied in because we all carry work home after work and then it's stressing us out potentially for the rest of the evening. And nobody wants that. And then you're also, you hear this phrase Sunday scaries from time to time. You don't want to be sitting there Sunday stressed about the work week ahead. So I get why people would want to totally sever their brain from work when they're not at work. But that number was pretty high.
Mm-hmm.
As Laura, you mentioned, we're going to talk about the 2025 World Happiness Report. This was recently published by the Wellbeing Research Center at the University of Oxford. So let's look at how America is doing and some of the other findings. First of all, country rankings were based on answers people give when asked to rate their own lives. The study was done in partnership with the analytics firm Gallup and the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network. Happiness isn't just about wealth or growth. It's about trust, connection, and knowing people have your back, said John Clifton, the CEO of Gallup. If we want stronger communities and economies, we must invest in what truly matters, each other. So in terms of the country rankings, Finland maintains its position as the happiest country for the 8th consecutive year, followed by Denmark, Iceland, and Sweden. The United States, we've dropped to our lowest ranking ever. We're now at 24th place. America.
But
Yeah.
Could we spin this into somehow saying we managed to achieve dropping to 24th again? America,
Nobody drops better than America.
Yeah,
How
exactly.
many countries in world? 195. We're number 24 out of 195. That's pretty good, y'all. Glass half full.
Yeah, but like that's 24 out of all the industrialized countries.
Yeah. Well, we did peak at number 11 in 2012. Hashtag thanks, Obama. Researchers say that beyond health and wealth, some factors that influence happiness sound deceptively simple, like sharing meals with others or having somebody to count on for social support, and household size. In Mexico and Europe, for example, a household size of 4 to 5 people predicts the highest level of happiness, according to the study. That could never be me, but I feel like that's more of a cultural thing.
It is. It is because like it's not uncommon for multiple generations still to like live either under the same roof or on the same property.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of like most families have like large plots of land in Mexico. And so it's not uncommon for children to go just back and like build a house like right next to mom and dad. So there's more of a community aspect. I think if you like grow up around it, it's nice, but I could see how it could be like, but there are parts of it that are like really smothering. And I can like speak to that from experience for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good and bad.
Yeah. Yeah. That I always feel smothered at home, which actually this might be a good tie into After Dark today. I'm going to be talking about some family stuff in After Dark today.
Yeah.
I'm purposely going to leave it vague here because it needs to be behind the paywall.
Yeah. But I will say the one thing that I regardless of like the bad that comes with it, I think I'm still grateful for like the importance that my culture puts on family bonding, because I think about so many of my friends that come from smaller family units or that are only children, and they're getting to the point now where relatives are dying off, their parents are getting older, and I can tell that that's really starting to weigh on them, the fact that they don't have a lot of family left. Whereas like I know that if like my mom passes, my like aunts and uncles pass, I'm close to my third cousins, like first, second, and third. There's always going to be family there. Like no one's ever going to leave anyone else behind. Yeah. So there's a comfort in that, and knowing that like if you're looking for company, like there's someone that's going to open their door to you.
Yeah.
So
I can imagine that being very reassuring. I don't know if it's the same in Mexican culture, Pam, but I know what's pretty common in Costa Rica is that kids tend not to move out of their parents' houses until they get married. And it is just regarded as very much the norm, because the idea is that until you marry and combine finances with another person, you probably can't afford to live on your own. So it's actually really common for people to live with their parents, sometimes their entire lives, depending on if that's what they decide to do. But it's totally normal and okay to be, in your 30s and living with your parents, because you haven't found your person yet, right? You haven't gotten married yet, and nobody, there isn't as much like stigma about it as there can be in other Western cultures.
Yeah. And I think the stigma, at least in America, is like, oh, but like you're freeloading off your parents. But the reality is in cultures where that is the norm, it's more like everybody is helping each other. So your parents are getting older, they're slowing down. And if you're not married yet, you're able to help them while you're doing that. And then later on, if they still need more help, you're more likely to move them in with you instead of moving them into an old person's facility or something like that. So yeah, it's very much like everybody like takes a turn building the other person up for success and stuff like that.
Well, and I think this might at least loosely tie into the next point I wanted to bring up here. I brought up that having somebody to count on for social support is really important for happiness. believing in the kindness of others is much more closely tied to happiness than previously thought, according to the latest findings in this World Happiness Report. As an example, the report suggests that people who believe that others are willing to return their lost wallet is a strong predictor of the overall happiness of a population. Nordic nations rank among the top places for expected and actual return of lost wallets, according to the study. So first of all, I just want to say I will return a wallet, but I might take the cash out first before putting it.
Andrew.
What? Come on, it's a little treat.
Are you claiming?
Is that a finder's fee?
A finder's fee, yeah.
Exactly.
Before I bring it to the police station. I found the wallet. There's no cash in it, but I found the wallet. Really? Just me? Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like that's bad karma because I also think like if I
well,
lost,
I don't carry a wallet with cash, so nobody can get back at me.
I also have like left my purse somewhere, like like even when I was a little kid, I remember once I left my I had like a little, like, I think it might have been like a fanny pack or something like that. And I left it on a family vacation in a bathroom. And then like I went back and it wasn't there. And somebody found it and then they mailed it to me. And I had money in the pouch, but they paid to mail it. And they like sent a little note and everything like that. They didn't even like take the money for shipping out of the pouch, which would have been like perfectly reasonable.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Okay,
maybe
really
I
sweet,
wouldn't take the cash. I'm trying to think if I've ever done this before. I don't know. Like sometimes I'll see like a $10 bill on the street and that's really exciting. So maybe that's what I'm
honestly, these days, like I find people's phones more than anything.
Yeah.
And I go above and beyond. I'm like, can I call the last person they called? No, I'll just wait for somebody to call them and be like, hey, do you know the person whose phone this is? Because I have it. Please have them come pick it up.
I have it's not a crazy story about that, but I do have a story about that involves the kindness of others. So my college roommate came to visit me when I was living in New York, and that's been a decade ago at this point. So I feel old, but we went out drinking in Manhattan one night, and one thing led to another, and we ended up back at my apartment, and my roommate had lost her phone somewhere. And we had no idea because we were trying to mentally retrace our steps of everywhere we had been. And we were like, there's just no way that we're going to get this phone back. She was prepared to go to the Apple store and get a new phone the next day. But we actually ended up hearing from someone who found her phone laying in the middle of Broadway.
Oh, wow.
Where it apparently fell out of her pocket at one point when we were stumbling around. But it felt kind of unlikely to me. Like, what's the likelihood that her phone fell out in the middle of Broadway? Would have been in the middle of the night, by the way. We don't get this call till the next day. So it laid there, didn't get run over, didn't get picked up and pocketed by somebody. The person who picked it up actually put in the effort to try and find us.
Yeah. That's really sweet.
Yeah.
And that's one of those like magical moments that does give you renewed faith in society. And it sounds like that's what these Nordic nations really find in one another. They trust one another to return a phone or whatever else when it is taken. Do you two generally believe in the kindness of others? I think sometimes it's hard to when you're looking at all the hatred and vitriol we see online and sniping at one another. But I think once you do get out into the real world and you experience something like what you saw in New York, Laura, it does give you renewed faith. It's just hard to see in your everyday life, I think.
Yeah, I think that these days you look for it in smaller gestures. Like I'm still pleasantly surprised when someone holds the door open for me, even though that happens like regularly. But I just assume that like nobody cares to do stuff like that anymore.
Yeah.
So it feels like it's like from an old world, you know?
True.
And when somebody holds the door open for you and you're still like 20, 30 feet away, it's like, oh my God, you're pausing your life to keep the door open for me. This is so nice. And you start hustling. Oh, thank you so much.
I was going to say, I kind of hate that though, because then I'm like, oh, now I gotta pick up the pace.
Laura, it's a kind, small gesture.
No, it totally is. It totally is. And hey, if the person is willing to stand there while I walk 30 feet, like clearly they committed to the bit when they held the door open.
No,
they knew what they were signing up for.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Or like if somebody tells you, I try and do this too, like if I'm at Costco and I have a basket full of stuff, but the person behind me only has a few things, I'm just like, oh, go ahead of me.
I love when
because I
people
have
do
so
that.
much stuff.
Yeah.
So I try and like make people's day in small ways if I can, stuff like that. Because it's like such a non thing, and I'm never really in a rush. So it's like, you go first. You have like a bunch of bananas, please.
Katie in our Discord has an interesting point. She says she sees kindness in real people in the world, but definitely not online. And Britt followed up on that and said it's a lot harder to be an asshole to someone's face. And I think that's true. I was just sitting here thinking, like, I don't think kindness exists on the internet. But I do believe that it exists. I think the thing about kindness from others, I kind of like sort of set myself up so my expectations are in place. It's really nice when it happens, but I don't bank on it. I don't know. It sounds maybe kind of cynical to say, but you shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket ever. And you shouldn't always bank on the kindness of others filling in gaps, because you're not always going to get it. I think that's the tough part.
So even though we know that social connections are so important in terms of feeling happier, loneliness is actually increasing across the world. 19% of young adults worldwide reported in 2023 that they have no one they could count on for social support. And that is a 39% increase compared to 2006. 1 in 4 Americans ate all of their meals alone the previous day from when they were studied. And that was an increase of 53% since 2003. Eating solo has become more common in all age groups, but most pronounced among those under 35. Now, Yam Emmanuel Deneve, a professor of economics and behavioral science at the University of Oxford and the co-editor of the World Happiness Report, said the extent to which one shares meals is an extraordinary proxy for measuring people's social connections and their social capital. It underpins people's social support. It drives pro-social behaviors, and all of that, in turn, leads it to be a very strong indicator or predictor for people's life satisfaction. Now, what's interesting about this to me is I feel like we have seen a trend in recent years about encouraging solo traveling, self-care, me time. There's been a real push towards that, but it seems like people are maybe doing too much of it. And then they're eating alone, they're traveling alone, and it wears them down. I guess like anything in life, all in moderation, but maybe we've put too much emphasis on these ideas.
Well, I just think that it's good to learn how to be alone, right? Mm-hmm. It's good to like to know that you can do that, because for a lot of people, like going to eat by themselves, like at a restaurant, is like an exercise in like bravery and stepping out of their comfort zone. But I think that you're right. Like you should not be to the point where like you like being alone so much that you've just like pushed everybody out of your life, because that's going to weigh on you eventually, when you actually need somebody. So I think that like striking a balance is good. So I don't think it's inherently bad. But
no, but maybe we've romanticized it too much. We've romanticized this idea of going out to dinner by yourself, sitting at the bar, reading a book, sipping a cocktail. And that's great. If it works for you, awesome. But maybe there's been too much romanticism.
I wonder too if like people have just lost the plot of like the idea of that, because a lot of how that started was, if you can't find anybody to go with you to this place that you really wanted to go to, you should just go alone, because like, why are you just depriving yourself of that luxury? And I think that is a good message, right?
Yeah.
Like if nobody is interested, like I would rather go to a museum by myself than take somebody that like would just come with me because they don't want me to be by myself, but they're not interested, know? So that I can just like go at my own pace. Yeah. Exactly. Like I appreciate the offer, but I'll just go by myself. It's fine. But yeah, I think that like it goes back to like how things get warped online, to your point. So like it starts off wholesome and then it turns into something like completely extreme.
I tend to feel that what's maybe having more of an impact here is over reliance on technology and social media, just because people, especially since COVID, I think have had a harder time being able to make organic connections with people outside of the internet. And it's just, I think, harder for people in general to like relate and know how to behave in a post-COVID world. Just like thinking about how people are lashing out in public spaces and having meltdowns over things that are not meltdown worthy. I really think that we're at a point in time where people have lost the skill of connecting with people without having their device as some sort of intermediary. And granted, I don't think this means we like throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, okay, technology is bad, social media is bad, like solo travel and solo, like, eating out is bad. So let's just throw it all out. I think that this is another conversation that could use some more nuance in it. And I feel like nuance is just like a dead art at this point for the way that people are relating to anything.
Yeah.
Anymore. I don't know if that's me being cynical again.
No, well, I do think if, let's say you're at a bar by yourself and your goal is to maybe just be alone with your thoughts and maybe meet somebody, by default, and I'm not talking about a date necessarily, just interact with other people. By default, you're going to be sitting there with your phone and you're going to be leaning on that as an escape rather than talking to the person who's 3 seats down from you. So it's like this easy crutch that allows you to avoid actually getting some of the social connection that you might enjoy when solo traveling. I think something that people actually like about solo traveling is that it can encourage you to meet new people because you are alone. You are kind of forced to talk to some strangers who you wouldn't have if you were traveling with somebody else.
Yeah. And you'll hear stories and have great conversations with people that you otherwise
Yes.
wouldn't have had.
Oh, it's fascinating. Like even overhearing conversations in the airport about where people have been, where they're going. You have this one like fleeting moment with somebody in the airport and you'll never see them again. You two are going to be at two opposite ends of the world by the end of the day. That always fascinates me.
Yeah. Or like, I don't always love to talk to people that are like sitting right next to me, but every once in a while, like, you hit it off with whoever you're sitting next to. And it's like, okay, this is like actually nice. Like, I don't actually mind that you're taking away from like this book I was planning on reading during this flight, like, please, like, let's just have like a nice conversation. And then you part ways and like, that's it,
Mm-hmm.
I had a really great experience when I was on my solo trip in Pensacola at the beginning of the year. I took myself out to dinner one night and I was just sitting at the bar because I was like, I don't need to take up a whole table for myself. And I ended up seated next to this man, probably old enough to be my father, if I'm being honest. But he was being very chatty and conversational with the couple next to him. And I assumed that the three of them were there together. But it turned out this guy was also here by himself and he had just struck up a conversation with that couple. And when they left, he kind of turned towards me and he saw my food. I got fried snapper, which is like chef's kiss. And he was like, oh, that looks really good. What'd you get? And I told him. And at first I was being a little bit guarded and standoffish because I was like, I don't want to like have to think about this. Like I'm a woman traveling alone, like, and this man's trying to talk to me. But I kind of observed how he was talking to other patrons, how he was talking to our waitress, and that made me feel more comfortable. So I opened up and we ended up having an amazing 1.5 hour long conversation about travel, about life. And I felt really, really good about it. It was actually one of my favorite things from that trip.
Yeah.
Being comfortable making those connections when you're solo traveling can open up amazing, conversations and like discoveries for you, but you also have to be safe about it.
I'm really glad that you brought that up, because I do think it's harder when you are a woman, because you're not sure, especially if it's a man, like you're not really sure of the intentions, and you don't want to like lead anybody on or like get yourself into a situation where like that isn't like implied or, accused of you.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's part of just like trying to have like you can't give everybody the best intentions, but you should at least like be more open to sussing it out, maybe.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you were like, it's a great point, like just observing how they are with other people before you engage fully.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I still did, just because I didn't know this guy, or like if, what he had been telling me was true. And I'm never going to see him again, probably. So when it became clear that our conversation was winding down and he was like, okay, I think I'm going to go. I was like, okay, well, it was really nice meeting you. I'm kind of dehydrated from being out on the beach all day, so I'm going to stay here and drink another glass of water. And that was a very natural way for me to make it very, very clear, like, this conversation ends here. And truly, I don't think that he had any intent. Like, I just didn't get that vibe from him. But still, I wanted to make it very clear, like, I'm going to stay in this well-populated place for another 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then leave.
Right.
And that can be a really easy way to do that and stay safe without it feeling awkward.
So, yeah, to start wrapping this up, I want to make a recommendation this week tied into this issue of people eating alone too often. Vox, following up on this World Happiness Report, did a piece on eating alone and how there's been a rise in that type of activity when maybe there shouldn't be, because as we're talking about today, it can lead to increased loneliness. My recommendation of the week is look for meetup groups in your town focused around dining. There are dining clubs here in Vegas. You can find them on meetup.com. I've had my eye on one. It's like a Vegas dining club in your 20s and 30s. And once a month, they pick a new restaurant and they all meet there together and they just chill and maybe make some new connections. So if you're looking for a way to meet people and probably eat some good food too, because hopefully they're picking some good restaurants, maybe it'll be a good way to explore your city. See if there are any dining clubs near you.
That's a really good idea, because I feel like our society isn't really structured in a way that's conducive for people to necessarily eat meals together. Like, I eat a lot of meals alone because I work from home, and Mark works from home too, but we have different schedules, and he goes into the office sometimes. Yeah. And I'm in a ton of meetings, so sometimes I don't have time to sit down and just like have a traditional meal. So it ends up being girl dinner.
Yeah. And I mean, this would require putting yourself even more out there. But if you can't find a dinner club in your town, start one of your own on meetup.com, and people will find it, because there are people in your city going on meetup.com looking for clubs like yours. I can't recommend meetup.com enough. That's how I found my book club that I'm in. I've seen hiking groups there. I don't go to the hiking meetups, but I steal their ideas for hikes because
you're so funny.
Let's take one more break today, and when we come back, we're going to talk about another third space that we enjoy.
Wanted to have a conversation today inspired by a conversation that we all had a couple of weeks ago about going to the gym, fitness habits, and kind of what all of us are doing right now to have some kind of fitness routine, and thought that it could be really helpful to share all of our experiences, both like working out at gyms, but also working out at home. And also, talking about the various different ways that we move, like we are able to like work in moving our bodies throughout the day, so that maybe it can be a little bit less intimidating. Because as someone who has struggled with their weight basically my entire life, there was a long period of time where I had a huge mental blocker about gyms, and we're going to talk about that here in a couple of minutes. And I thought it could be a nice way to have an accessible conversation about fitness, and that it's for everybody, right? It's for everybody.
One reason I was excited to talk about this is because when we came up with the idea just a week or two prior, my hairstylist asked me, "Oh, what are you doing after this?" I said, "Oh, I'm going to the gym, Planet Fitness right next door." She's like, "Oh, I've thought of going to the gym, but I'm too intimidated." I'm like, Planet Fitness is the last place you should feel intimidated. There are all types of people there, all age ranges. It's a very welcoming place. And I think a lot of people, like my hairstylist, feel that way. They feel intimidated to enter a gym, a new place they haven't been before, where you might expect to see just a lot of bodybuilders who are way bulkier than you.
When we're going to talk about gyms a little more in depth, but I thought we could open this up by sharing how we manage our own fitness routines.
Working from home, I feel the urge to work out or get out of the house early in the afternoon or late morning, depending on how my workday is going. So I am very adamant and dedicated to working out in some form in the middle of the day. And it just helps power me through the rest of the day too, especially on a day like today when we're recording at 4:30 p.m. If I'm not moving all day, I'm going to be way more lethargic than I already feel at the end of the day. So it's important for me to move to power me through the rest of the afternoon. And I get that dopamine hit, and I get some time away from the screen, and it's just me and my music or a good podcast. It's a release for me that I'm addicted to.
Agreed. I use the Future app, which I know I've talked about a few times here on the show. I've been using it for the last few years, and I really, really like it. You have a personal virtual trainer assigned to you, and you meet with them every so often to talk about goals and how things are going, but they develop your personalized workout routine based on what you need. And what I really love about it is the flexibility involved. So, like, if I have a workout that I'm not feeling up to doing because maybe I woke up and I had a headache, it's really easy for me to message my coach and just move my workout to another day so that there's the accountability check there too, so that it doesn't turn into, oh, I had a headache and I didn't do it that day, so I just never did it. This, I find, really helps to keep me accountable. I feel like Future has personally helped me be more accountable than going to the gym did, although I did have good experiences at the gym as well. But how I manage things is very much like a Monday through Friday routine with a mixture of some weight training and some yoga and stretching exercises in between. So I'll do like Monday, Wednesday, Friday weight training, and then Tuesday, Thursday yoga.
Yeah, for me, I like to get the workout done right at the beginning of the day, because it's not always my favorite part of the day, but I always feel better after I've done it. Like I feel accomplished. I have more energy, and at the minimum, I will go every other day. So like Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But if I'm good, then I'll go every day, Monday through Thursday. And I just alternate between longer cardio and weight training. And I've been starting to incorporate incline cardio into my workout, which is great for endurance. Like, I think for me, like, endurance is a big thing. And I can always tell when I've stopped like working out for long stretches of time, because I'll be in the city, and San Francisco is notoriously hilly, and I'm like huffing and puffing on like streets that used to be easy to go up and down when I was living in the city. And so that's kind of like my cue to make sure that I go back to the gym and try and get back in shape. So like my goal is always like not to be heavy breathing when I'm walking around, just like normally.
In terms of incline cardio, what are you using? You just doing the incline on treadmill, stair stepper?
I do it on the treadmill. I'm not brave enough. I haven't been brave enough to try this stair stepper yet. There is near me, there's a famous like foot race called the Dipsy. And so I have done like outdoor training on the Dipsy steps. It's like a set of stairs that goes from like the downtown area all the way over to the beach. And so you go like up the mountain, like part of it goes around Muir Woods, and then you end up at the ocean at the end.
Ooh,
But like
nice.
the steps are really old, and like, but that is like a lot harder, I think, like on my joints is like the movement of going up and down the stairs. So yeah, I've just been doing like incline interval training on the treadmill to save my knees mostly. But maybe one day I'll try the Stairmaster.
Yeah.
Because we do have them.
Yeah, you should.
I just don't go on them.
I love the stair climber because you get your heart rate up with low impact. Like I used to run years ago, but then I started getting shin
I feel like
splints.
that's higher impact.
Stair stepper?
Yeah, I would think it would be because you're like moving your joints so much, and the steps are kind of high.
But
so
it's
I
not
never
as
thought
fast
that.
paced. It's a slower pace, and you're getting your heart rate up. I mean, you can speed it up, but I don't.
Yeah,
it's easier on me.
Steps, I think they are high impact for your knees.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's just one of those things where if you have knee issues, it might be a little harder to do, but if you don't,
I used to get shin splints too, and then I worked with a coach who was telling me like that I was basically running wrong.
Oh, okay. That was probably my problem too.
Yeah, because it's like the inclination is to just like pound the pavement basically.
Yeah.
And also to like lift your knees more than you should, but you should really be like landing with your whole foot like on the surface instead of landing like toe first or like heel first.
I also like the stair stepper because I feel like I can move my body more flexibly than I could tied to an elliptical, which is a very specific back and forth motion, or even the treadmill. If I'm walking on a treadmill, my one leg starts to hurt a little too much.
And I'm glad that you talked about flexibility because that's something that I have not been prioritizing, but my best friend is like really big on stretching, and it's because she was a dancer her whole like adolescent and childhood, and she's always the one that's like texting the group chat like make sure you guys are stretching because like that's like stretching is so important for mobility when you get older. So like in the back of my mind I already have that like I really need to think about how to incorporate like a good like deep 30-minute stretch routine into my workout because it's crazy like how much like it's like I can still like I still have like similar flexibility to when I was, like maybe my teenage years, but I do notice that like the backs of my knees pull a little bit more, or like I can't get like as deep of a stretch as I used to. So like, yeah, whenever she talks about that, I'm like, oh, okay, that is actually a good point. I should really make more of an effort to incorporate that too.
Yeah. I don't stretch. I need to get better at that though, because I hear good things. I just don't have the patience for it.
And it's helpful because I know we all like have back problems too. It's helpful for back problems.
Well, and the thing is, why it's so important to stretch before and after you work out is to avoid injuries. If you're not well stretched and then you do something very strenuous, you can really hurt yourself. And I know that you don't want to end up back in a chiropractor's office.
I do not, no. I would like to make one more comment about the stair steppers, though. If you ever see a man on a stair stepper, they're gay. I was
going to say it's all women.
It's a gay cardio activity. It just is. I look at men, I'm like, well, I thought you were straight, but now I see you on the stair stepper.
They're all working the glutes.
Yeah.
The girls and the gays.
It's so gay to use a stair stepper. It just is. It just is.
Well, I know that I shared that I tend to work out from home most of the time these days, but wanted to hear a little bit more about y'all's habits. Is there any time where you do work out at home or where you would work out at home, or do both of you have a stronger preference for the gym?
During a workday, I'm normally working out here at home on the Peloton because I don't have the time to go to the gym. If I am having a more relaxed workday, then I will go to the gym. But just having an exercise bike at home easily saves me 15 to 30 minutes getting changed for the gym, going out, and the gym's only 5 minutes away, but still it adds up, all that travel time. So I normally work out at home. I am trying to work out more at the gym because I need to get out of the damn house. And I love going to the gym because I get in a better workout ultimately. But I just can't make it work every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a walking pad, and I have just like some basic dumbbells. So I technically could get like a pretty good workout at home. And I like the walking pad for like just getting up and moving if I feel like I've been sitting too long, especially if I have to like watch a show. It's just nice to like break up the monotony of sitting on the couch with the walking pad. But I have a fairly long stride. And so I feel like I can only do so much on the walking pad that I have, because I picked something that was compact, just for like ease of putting it away when I'm not using it. So I still prefer to go to the gym to get in like the full real workout, because I just don't have to worry about anything like that. Plus they have like all of the machines that I like. So I can just get in the good full workout there. And I also just find it hard to stay motivated at home, but paying for a membership forces me to go, because if I don't go, then I'm wasting money.
Yeah.
So
sometimes I do the math.
Aware of the fact that yeah, you're right. Like, yeah, I do the math too. Cause it's like, if I go at least 3 times a week, then it pays for itself.
Right.
But if I go more than that, it's like, it's almost $1 a day. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I got to get this per gym day rate down by going more often. Otherwise, I don't want to spend $5 per visit.
Right, exactly. That's so true.
Well, both of you have touched on the next thing I want to ask about, which is consistency. Consistency is hard. I can definitely relate to that. How are we managing staying on top of our routines? And further, what do we do to get back on track if we fall off the routine? Because it happens to the best of us.
Doesn't happen to me. I'll tell you why. Because I feel dead inside if I don't work out. That is it for me.
Man.
I'm not even joking. I feel dead inside if I don't work out. So I have no choice, basically.
That's really, so nice.
Yeah.
I definitely like, if I go through like a rough patch of mental health, like it's really hard to get up. And sometimes I will give myself some grace. Like if like February was a particularly hard month for me. So I barely made it out to the gym. And then it was really hard to get back in the habit. But I find that like, it really just takes like a week of consistently forcing myself to go. And then it's like, I'm almost doing it subconsciously,
Mm-hmm.
And Pam, what time do you go to the gym? You said early. How early?
Yeah, it depends. Like anywhere between like 6 and 7. My gym does not open until 6. But if I go at 6, like it's not the end of the world if I go at 6, but it's like the busiest it will be at 6 in the morning. If I go at 7, it's pretty empty, because most people are trying to get in that workout before they go to work. And then anytime after that, it's just like me and the local firemen.
Ooh.
Basically.
Are they on the stair steppers? If they are, give them my number.
Not. They're on the row machines and
that's kind of gay too.
And the free weights, of course.
I was going to say, Pam, you're kind of burying the lead there, girl.
Yeah, give us.
It's
give
like
us
if
some
I go
stories.
at like 9 or 10 o'clock, but then I'm like, no, I can't have like the firemen watching me huff and puff on my incline treadmill workout. So I better go at 7.
They're gonna be like, "Oh, this bitch, we're gonna have to save her if her house is ever on fire."
I know, right? My like 1-story house where I don't even have to go upstairs.
Take one step off the front door.
You know what though, Pam? I would challenge that and say that they would probably actually respect the hell out of you, because firefighters have to work out really hard to be in the condition to do their job. Yeah.
Yeah. And they go in shifts, like, so I don't see like the same firemen every day, because they can't all leave the fire station. It's pretty funny.
I'll tell you a story. So I had one time when I was still going to LA Fitness, and again, I had actually really good experiences there, despite my preconceived notions. And on more than one occasion, although this particular example really sticks out to me, I was on a machine doing leg extensions, leg extensions where you're lifting weight. And I can only describe him as a Greek god, an Adonis, if you will. I mean, this man was perfection. He was so beautiful. And I'm sitting there doing my leg extensions. I had just increased my weight as well, that I was lifting. and I was going hard, and I was definitely huffing and puffing. I was definitely my least attractive in that moment. This beautiful man walked by me, looked me dead in the eyes, and said, "Good job."
Aw.
And my heart just fluttered. I was like, "Oh, that was so nice," because I think the high school me that still lives inside was like waiting for him to say something mean.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he didn't. It was actually really nice and encouraging. And the reality of it is, even people like that who look like they are chiseled from marble, they are so perfect. They had a starting point too. Like, they didn't just become like that overnight. They know what it's like to start from the beginning and have to work really hard to get there. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the spirit that I got from my gym experience.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
so Pam,
I do think you're right.
Yeah,
no,
don't
I know.
discount
I'm
those
like mostly
firefighters.
joking, but yeah, no, but I totally agree. I think that you make a good point. I think that like when you're at the right gym, people just like, they recognize the hustle. And I will say that like, there's like a nice way to do this and like a conceited way to do this. There are like no shortage of people too who will like offer advice if they see you like struggling with the machine. And it's only ever been very nice. Like, if most people in my gym, if they see that you can't find where to adjust the seat or something, like someone will come over and be like, "Oh, like, can I help you with that?" So
even these most chiseled men at the gym are not judging other people there. I think there's just this misconception that you're being judged just because you don't look like other people there. I don't really, maybe it happens, but it doesn't seem like it does to me. That's just the gym. There's all different types of people there. I go to Planet Fitness, and if you don't already know, their whole thing is they're the judgment-free zone. They are all about having all different types of people there. Like I said earlier, all different body types, age ranges, people older than my parents. I look at some of the elderly people there. I'm like, good for effing them. I hope that is me. Just walking nicely on the treadmill for a little while daily, watching The View on one of the TVs. Like I love seeing those older people there. And speaking of this judgment-free zone, Planet Fitnesses have this lunk alarm, it's called, by the free weights. And the alarm goes off. It goes like, if it detects the sound of a weight dropping on the floor. Because that's the thing gym bros will do, right? They're, pushing 200 pounds. They're screaming. They're going, ah! They're making a big shows of it. And then they drop them on the floor. Then the lunk alarm goes off to shame them. I love that. Planet Fitnesses are also very clean. I'm always seeing them do deep cleans at the Planet Fitness that I go to. They're big, they're airy. And the prices are great. $25 a month for the higher end membership. And that gets you access to all Planet Fitnesses in the country. Plus their spa lounge where you can get this use these water massage machines. I love Planet Fitness.
They used to do haircuts too. I don't know if
they
still do.
What?
Yeah,
I didn't know
used
that.
to do haircuts for the $20 membership. I would never go there because I have long hair, but like for men to go get like a trim or something,
that sounds
like,
amazing.
why not?
I go to Great Clip, so that sounds right up my alley.
I loved my Planet Fitness in Southern California because you're right. It was new. It was big. It was airy. It was open 24 hours. So when I was like suffering with insomnia, which I didn't realize was like a smaller symptom of a larger underlying issue, I would just go there. I would show up at like 2:00 in the morning and just like go on the treadmill and like hang out with the night crew there. They were always so nice, and there would be like nobody there, but like it was open. And I wish that I liked the Planet Fitnesses closer to me now, and I don't, because the machines are just really cramped together and the spaces are just too small for everything they're trying to fit in there. But if you have a good Planet Fitness near you, like Andrew was saying, that is big and stuff like that, like definitely take advantage because the price is unparalleled.
And go take a free tour. They'll walk you around. I see people coming in all the time for the tours.
They also have free training consultations too. Like, so you can like meet with one of their trainers and they can like come up with a plan for you if you're really like a gym noob and you're trying to incorporate weight training and stuff like that into your whatever.
Speaking of quirky things Planet Fitness used to do, you mentioned the haircuts. They used to do free bagel Wednesdays and free pizza Fridays. And then COVID happened and they got rid of that.
People on the internet would like make fun. They'd be like, oh, the fatties are going to the gym to eat pizza. It's like, no, that's not like it
did seem a little strange though, right? How about free fruit Fridays instead of free pizza?
I think that's like moderation is healthy.
Yeah.
I think that they were trying to breed an environment where they didn't make people feel guilty for having a cheat day on a Friday, for God's sakes. Like, I think that's nice.
I guess.
But yes,
and also, you can totally work in pizza and bagels to a healthy diet.
Oh, I do.
Yeah, you totally can. And I really appreciate them doing that.
I'm just salty because I've never taken advantage of this benefit, and then COVID happened. They got rid of the perk, and now I have no chance.
Well, that makes sense because you are a bagel fiend, self-professed.
Yes.
Yeah. I will say like the only gym that I've never really vibed with is 24-hour fitness. And I feel like it's because that's where you do see more of the gym bros.
Okay.
At least like in like the ones in my area that I've tried to go to before. So like, I feel like now I just go in there and like my whole body tenses if I'm taking a tour of a 24-hour fitness. Because I just like, I'm traumatized by past experiences, and they're a little bit pricier too. You can definitely get a better deal elsewhere for the same.
I had one I went to loyally in the Orange County area, Pam, that I liked. But I agree, even like you were saying, there are some Planet Fitnesses that suck. The one in Pat's hometown I went to, it sucked. It was smaller. Things were more cramped. Yeah. So I guess what I would recommend is if you go to your closest Planet Fitness and you don't like it, try another one. It could be a whole different world.
Mm-hmm. But just make sure you're willing to make the commute, because that's the other thing too. I feel like the further away the gym is, the more likely you are to make an excuse for yourself to not go.
Definitely.
So
one of the two Planet Fitnesses I go to is right next to a Costco. So it's easy for me to get over to that further one, because it also means I'm going to make a little Costco pit stop.
Hey, do a nice little loop.
Get some free samples and then go work out.
That's your version of the free bagels and pizza.
Free samples at Costco, then burning it off at Planet Fitness.
That's amazing. Well, as we wrap this discussion up, wanted to ask y'all, what would we say to someone who feels like they wouldn't be comfortable going to a gym, or even someone who's just intimidated by the idea of having a fitness routine?
I would say that everybody starts somewhere. So you have to start somewhere too, even if your somewhere is like, from zero. And just take advantage of touring multiple different gyms, like Andrew was saying. Take advantage of the guest passes. If you feel like you would be more inclined to start going with a buddy, maybe like have a friend sign up to the same gym with you and go with them first until you feel comfortable going by yourself. I think that the gym is not one size fits all. And when it's kind of like when you're touring colleges or when you're touring apartments, like sometimes you step in and the place is not for you, but then you step into like another place and you're like, oh, this feels like this is the fit. And so I think it's the same with the gym. My current gym is at the local community center. I love it so much. There's different ages. You can also ask questions about like when like peak hours are, so you can see if like the peak hours fit with your schedule. So maybe you can start off going off hours.
Yeah, that makes a big difference too.
Mm-hmm. Like I was telling you guys, like after 7, like my gym is dead until 3 p.m. when the kids start getting out of school, and then it packs up.
When I do go to Planet Fitness during the week and it's like the middle of the day, I'm in shock at how empty it is. It's amazing. To build on your points, Pam, my recommendation would be give it a try and take note of how you and your body feel afterwards. You will get that dopamine hit. You will feel like you accomplished something today. You will feel refreshed, and take note of how your body feels a day or two after that first workout too. You're going to feel a little sore probably, and it's going to hurt so good. It's not going to hurt bad. You're going to feel that progress. That soreness is progress. Your body is rebuilding muscle. It's a good feeling. Pat makes fun of me randomly during the day. I'll just make a muscle and start feeling my bicep.
I do that too.
Oh, you do?
That's
Oh,
funny.
good.
Yeah.
Oh, Pat, you hear that? You hear that?
I don't do that. Are you just like feeling for progress?
I'm feeling progress. I worked hard
Okay.
for this bicep. I want to know that it's there.
Maybe
So,
I should
yes,
start doing that.
I do check in on my biceps.
Good for you.
I feel up my own calves too a lot of the time to see how things are doing down there. Yeah. Thank you, Laura.
Yeah. I think y'all have really covered a lot of it here. The only other thing that I would add is try not to like overcommit yourself to a specific routine or using machines or anything like that at first, because that can be really overwhelming and a lot to learn at once. You can get an amazingly effective workout by just using your own body weight. So doing the basics of like crunches, squats, push-ups consistently every day can make a huge difference and not take a ton of time out of your day to do. This is something that Mark said to me that always stuck with me. He used to be a personal trainer in another life. And what he said to me was something that is 50% effective is better than something that is 0% effective. And what that means is don't get too bogged down in trying to like ideate the ideal routine that will help you get to your goals as quickly as possible, because that's just going to burn you out. And you're probably going to end up back at the start. So it's way better to do something that is maybe more like is a little bit slower at getting you the results, but it's something that's more consistent and attainable over time. And it's not going to make you hate yourself. And that like it took me, I mean, until like the last couple of years for that to really resonate with me. And because of that, I've been more consistent than ever. And I've seen more consistent progress than ever. So it really does work. I think that there are a lot of companies out there that make a lot of money off trying to sell people these miracle cures or like specific intensive 30-day workout programs that are supposed to help you lose like a crazy amount of weight. And I think having the emphasis be so heavily on like weight loss or, you know, building up to your, you know, strength goals, that people can kind of lose the real goal, at least for me, in all of this, is to be able to use my body for as long as I can in this life. Because we all get old, all of our bodies deteriorate, and I want to have my mobility as long as I can. To me, that's my biggest priority. So I think stepping back and asking yourself, like, what is my actual motivation here? And then forming your goals around that will actually help you work towards, you know, the thing that you want, rather than heaping a ton of pressure on yourself to be on these like crazy workout regimens and like super restrictive diets. It's a lot healthier to view physical fitness as like something that you get to do with your body as opposed to something you have to do.
Yeah. Another example of small steps you can take, you can buy one of those pull-up bars that you can stick in a door frame. We have one of those in the bathroom. Just start with one pull-up a day. Yeah. Go up to 2, 3, 4, 5. I do maybe 10 if I'm lucky. And that's after having it for like a year. But it's just such a quick thing to grab onto and pull up on a few times. Like I do it right before I hop on the shower.
Well, even just walking. I know it sounds so silly, but like, especially
walking is
if
great.
You've never, walking. They even say walking is better than running. Like you're right. You're both right. It's all about consistency, but especially if you're starting from scratch or if you haven't worked out in a while, just starting off by like walking around your neighborhood. You know, you can start off with like 15 minutes a day and like work your way up. As long as you do it every
pass the
day.
time when walking? Maybe listen to a
you
podcast.
can listen to us. Yeah. There you go.
That's
or
where I get my
audiobook.
podcast listening time in. It's
Me
walking
too.
Brooklyn.
Yeah. Walking or on the treadmill or anything like that. Audiobooks as well.
All right. Well, pals, if you have any suggestions or feedback for anyone on today's discussion, please reach out. We'd love to hear from you. And we could also really use your support to keep this show going. So here are some great ways to help us out.
Become our favorite pal at patreon.com/millennial. Once you support us, you'll know how to listen to our weekly gossip sessions, aka our podcasting safe space known as After Dark. And you can do it all in your favorite podcast app.
Coming up in After Dark today, I've got some updates I would like to share with y'all and get some feedback on. It's something I've been ruminating over, and I'm feeling committed to it. I'm purposely keeping this vague because it needs to be behind the paywall. So that's what's happening in After Dark today.
Pals can also hang out with us on Zoom, get ad-free Millennial episodes, hear old episodes of Smart Mouths, which is a podcast that predates Millennial, the Millennial origins, if you will, and listen to recordings of us calling each other monthly, and tons more. Patreon offers 7-day free trials and annual subscription discounts.
Time for some recommendations. I recommended meetup groups focused on dining in your town. What's yours, Pam?
I just wanted to recommend not sleeping on your local community center. Like I was saying in the main show, I have been taking advantage of the gym there. That's where I have my gym membership, but they also have fitness classes. A lot of times you can get access to like basketball or racquetball courts. They also have like dance classes sometimes, or like arts and crafts or music classes. So there's just like a lot to be found there, and your money is going back to your local community. So definitely check that out. And yeah, maybe you'll fall in love with your community center gym like I have. It's great. You usually see a lot of different kinds of people there too, old, young, different skill levels.
Podcasters.
I might be the only one who knows.
You and the firemen.
Yeah, me and the firemen.
I want to recommend a YouTube channel called Fitness Blender. Fitness Blender is a YouTube channel of free guided workout resources. It's a husband-wife team. They're both personal trainers, and they have just a plethora of different free workouts that you can access on their channel. And what I love about them is they include modifications. So when they're showing you the form for a particular exercise, if there is a modification that you could make, like say, if it's a standing position that you're in, but there's a way to modify it so that you're on the ground, they will show you those things so that they're making it accessible to various different levels of fitness and various different levels of people. And what I love about them, they always say this, anytime they're kind of coaching you through a movement, they always remind you that, you know, working out is a question to your body of like, can we do this right now? And if your body is registering like pain or discomfort, you shouldn't continue with that movement. So they really do try to encourage people to think about fitness in a very healthy way. And that comes across in their channel. And it's also free, which I think is incredible because so often influencers, especially like gymfluencers, I feel like they tend to paywall everything. So the fact that this is a free resource for people is really incredible.
Yeah, it's a good one.
If you're interested in picking up any official Millennial Show swag, you can visit shop.millennialshow.com to do so. And if you have picked up anything, we would love it if you would take a picture and tag us on any of our socials, because we'd love to see you in those pieces.
I'm wearing my Canceling Since 2015 t-shirt right now. I like walking around and reminding people that I have the power to cancel. Bitch, so don't cross me. Also, don't forget to follow the show in your favorite podcast app or on YouTube, and please do leave us a review.
Also, leave comments wherever you follow us or email millennialshow@gmail.com. Millennialshow.com is where you'll find links to our various platforms and notes on what we've discussed today.
After Dark starts in a moment for patrons and Apple Podcast subscribers. Thanks, everybody, for listening. I'm Andrew.
I'm Laura.
And I'm Pamela.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.